Welcome everyone to CDO's magazine series of one-on-one interviews with CDOs, data leaders and key influencers. I'm your host, Robert Lutton, Vice President, Sandhill Consultants, and I'm coming to you today from Toronto, Canada, working with the CDO magazine and my TCIQ Symposium and International Society of Chief Data Officers. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Pam Dillon, who is the co-founder and CEO of Preferabli. Welcome, Pam.
Hello, good morning.
Looking at it from a third-party point of view, if I'm interested in the Preferabli technology, how easy is that to adopt to a certain business or a business model? So, how easy is it to integrate your technology into our clients' environment?
It's lock and load, because if it wasn't lock and load, we would have been dead on arrival. Let's just say that consumer broadline is not well known for its advances in technology. They are working, I kid you not, with last century infrastructure. And so if we had to rely on their abilities to integrate the vast majority of potential partners, we would not have had a business. And so that's why from the very beginning, we imagined a platform that were modular in their orientation, so they could build a journey that a merchant would find particular to their brand, particular to their customer. But then each one of those modules can be locked and loaded in the context of an API endpoint or any other kind of plugin. So, and there isn't a platform in the wine and spirits industry that we don't lock and load into. So we've made it our business to be able to do that as well, because the brand promise to potential merchants is, whether you're very large or very small or somewhere in between, if you want our functionalities, we will find a way to lock and load into you, because our very strong goal is to connect across the entire supply chain into the consumer base in order to create a world where people can choose based upon their personal preferences, anchored in their taste preferences.
So I can see that this is really easy technology, lock and load into any environment, which is fantastic. I'm going to just ask you to take us on a journey as to say, where do you think that this technology could be applied to? So where are you going in the future? So you've got a great technology today, and it supports obviously the last century. So you got the last century today. Where are you going in the future? Take us on a quick journey to tell us where you're going to go.
Well, there are a couple of very well-known retailers who have identified something that I'm a devotee to as well, which is a thesis that wine and spirits is actually a very clear indicator around all of sensory consumer. Put another way, if you tell me what you're drinking, I can tell you probably a lot about the nature of what you're wearing, what you're driving, where you're going on vacation or holiday. I can tell you a lot about you as a consumer. It's a real leading indicator with respect to preference overall. And so our platform was built to be able to take each product, each sensory consumer product, one by one as it comes. So you basically anything that you can drink, certainly anything that you can eat, which would be paired with anything that you can drink, that is something that our merchant partners are extremely interested in our continuing to develop. And the grocery sector, the retail sector being two primary sectors for our business development, we have satisfied their desires there. Those same merchants and our development strategy is really congruent with their growth strategies. We're very customer centric, so we want to grow where they're growing. And we already have very clear indication of where that's likely to take us next. And so whether that's in the field of fragrance, whether that's in the field of other consumer luxury products, whether people ask us all the time if this works with cannabis. Of course it works with cannabis. cannabis. People ask us all the time whether or not this can be broadened to things that are experiential, and it really can, because again, once you understand individual consumer preference, it really cuts across many things. Our intellectual property, our patents, again, were designed in that way because we were from the very beginning going to grow beyond simply the wine and spirits industry to understand consumer preference broadly, because even those merchants in the wine and spirits industry are interested in that. They understand that their consumers don't just live and think about their products every day and nothing else. They live in a broader world, and they want to understand their consumers more.
Pam, one last question, if I can, because I know we're hitting the time limit here. But I noticed when I was reading the information on your website and doing some background that I found it quite interesting that both you and Andrew state that you see artificial intelligence and machine learning and machine intelligence, but with a human touch. So can you elaborate on this collaboration, how you can see it working more seamlessly in the future?
Yes, my co-founding partner, Andrew, and I from the very beginning, and we may be the architecture behind the right-left brain that I was discussing with you before, this idea of qualitative and quantitative coming together. Look, I think that everyone who lives and works in the world today understands digitization, deepening digitization, and how it's driving pretty much every interaction that we have from the very moments that we awaken until we go to sleep at night. It's driving every form of our day-to-day life in one way or another. And that's okay. That's a good thing in many ways. It creates an efficiency. It creates an ease of life. These are all positive developments. At the same time, our vision and indeed our legacy would be bereft of something really important if it did not have that human touch, if it did not remember on a number of levels that humanity was really, really important to what we were doing. And so the code has written into it certain things that are the way a human behaves, the way a human thinks. Humans make jumps in ways that machines don't generally. And so we've taught our machines to jump in that way that human beings would. We have imagined this whole idea of connecting broadly artisanal people who make artisanal products. So producers, these are very small producers that, they don't make any money at all. Like basically for the first 3 years, they start growing, and it takes them about a decade to actually make a viable business of something. If those farmers weren't something worth protecting, with the beautiful and varied flavors that their products, have, we have to make sure we're preserving that. So the humanity actually comes through on a number of levels. It's extremely base. It's elemental to how the code was written, but it's also very broad in terms of what the solutions actually accomplish, which is to ultimately make sure that human beings can have the most things that they can imagine to choose from, and a way to find the ones that they're going to love.
Certainly pleased to hear that, because obviously it's the humans that are after and drinking the consumer products. So,
Yes.
but Pam, I'd like to thank you today. I know that we're going to have a chat with Andrew shortly to see actual demonstration of the technology, but we really appreciate you coming, giving us a chance to share your knowledge and experience in the AI, machine learning, and the patents that you put out there, and the personal preference space. We really appreciate it. We think that's the future where AI is going, and we'd like to thank you for your time today, Pam.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
And for our listeners, you can visit ceomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you.